Okay, on the 2004 Honda Accord Euro, if you wanna service the front brake, be aware you cannot lift this caliper up like you would do normally. You just undo the lower bolt and just loosen up the top bolt and you would just turn it upwards. You cannot do on this design because the inner brake pad is connected into the piston, inside of the piston, with some three metal pieces basically, and so you do need to remove the whole thing if you want to service it. And also you do need to remove this spring, and then you find cups here. It looks like this, and the sliding pin has this T40. Any T40 will do. You don't need one like this which has a hole. Just the normal T40 could undo, but it's tight, so you need an extension to do this. And since it's Torx, be aware, you wanna, when you install the Torx, one hand should be on it and pushing inwards really hard, okay? And then you do the undoing, because if it will slip, then you will ruin the inside of the Torx bolt, and that's gonna be a very long day for you. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. So this is how it looks, and as you can see, this inner pad is sort of connected into the piston. Basically there is like a 3-leg metal piece which is welded to the back plate, this metal black plate, and it's clicking into the inside of the piston, and so they stay together, and therefore I never managed to turn it upwards. I'm not even sure if that's possible, but anyways, this is the sliding pin, and I believe from the factory it's Torx, but be aware, I've seen Allen key also. And so the best thing is to get a small mirror like this, and when you remove the cup, you wanna look inside what you have, okay? And you really, anything you have, you wanna make sure you choose the right tool, the right size. It's tough, it's not easy to ruin, it's a heavy piece of metal, but it is possible. So that's it. And finally, as usually, I have other things to say. It bothers me a lot, you know, some people say to you, oh, it's easy to install the brake pad and the rotor, you just do this and this. But the thing is, they don't tell you what to check, because if you just install a pad like this and you don't check whether it's moving freely, or you grease it incorrectly, because even if you don't know the vehicle you are working on, you can always check what's the contact point, okay, between the holder and the pad, and you can see it's contacting on the bottom, on the front, and then there is a piece which is contacting the top part. So all those you need to lubricate. And if you use aftermarket pads, oftentimes they are like really tight, barely move, or maybe the top moves but not the bottom. So in that case you need to clean up the bracket, okay, this holder piece. You clean up the contacting surfaces, and if it's still too tight, maybe the pad is oversized and you need to use a file to match it. You see, it's even a little bit, it's better to be a little bit loose like this than tight, okay. And don't put the grease on the holder, you put the grease here on the pad, see. And the other thing bothers me is when you have this old school wear indicator, oftentimes people install it incorrectly. If you don't know whether it goes to the top or the bottom, I told this before in another video, that, you know, the wheel rotates forward most of the time unless you reverse, okay. And the problem with these kind of wear indicators, they can, this piece which is indicating the wear, this can bend out, and so this indicator should be on the top whenever the brake, the pad is on the front. This is the front of the vehicle, okay, it's on the front. Now on the other side, on the rear, maybe the pad is on the back, not on the front. So if it's on the back, then it should be on the bottom, okay. So you always have to think about which way it will not bend out, okay. That's it. And so, you know, I use old school high temperature copper grease. I know it's no longer recommended, but I never had issue with that. And on the sliding pin I use silicone grease, actually. It's a white grease. I'm not gonna show you the brand, but it's silicone grease, it's white. See? Because people use all kind of stuff, and when the weather is cold, like today it's cold, you know, ordinary grease will freeze up, okay, and then the caliper cannot move as it should. Don't forget to put the spring back, and it's easy to remove but could be difficult to reinstall. The way I do, I press in the lower one first, and then you take this side behind the bracket, and then what you need to do, you need to push towards the front, but in the same time you need to push inwards as well, okay. So with one hand you push towards the front and in, and with the other one, maybe with a screwdriver, you try to pull it towards the hole. And eventually, if you kind of don't try to push continuously, but rather like push, and it will end up in the hole eventually.